So it's a pleasure to be here. So I'm from Wikitude, as Steve already said. So what is it that we are working about? So in general, we started already 2008 to play around with the first Android emulators and get a better understanding whether mobile AR is a thing. Is it something that really works? And nowadays we're offering a Wikitude SDK, so it's targeting offering developers an augmented reality SDK so that you can, in a nutshell, for example, augment a magazine cover page with a video drawable, as we call it, or even place 3D objects on top of it, animate them to then create interactive experiences. And soon you will also be able to really augment desktop-sized objects. So you, in a way, record them and then define your own experience around it. We already did this since 2008. We're also maintaining our own PhoneGap plugin, so it's not a community plugin, although more than open to contribute here. But what is it that we're doing, and what is augmented reality all about? So just out of curiosity, whoever created or developed something with AR? Hooray, 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 yeah, at least some people. So in the following, I like to really give you a really rough overview of what AR means, what AR was in the past, what AR is promoted, and where we stand right now as of today. So in a way, AR, or the name AR, was really just used as a buzzword. That's at least from what I see it. For example, for those of you who ever played Pokemon Go and associated this somehow with AR, we're wondering, so why the hell? So what's the benefit, right? I see some creature sitting on top of my camera without any direct link between. So there is no computer vision, there is no real association between those two sceneries. But they labeled this AR? Seriously? So that's something Wikitude already offered 2009 in their very first application. So we call this GUAR, and there was no sophisticated CV in place, not even a proper rendering engine. So this is so old school, but hey, it works. So marketing, hooray. Everybody knows Pokemon Go, but unfortunately people started to associate Pokemon Go with augmented reality. And even further, others used it, I know, in Kickstarter projects, for example. Hey, I want to sell my helmet better, so what is it that I can do? Hey, so there's a camera, there's a head-up display, so there's something I overlay on top of reality, so why not name it an augmented reality helmet and sell it? But just have a closer look. What is it? What is that or the definition of AR is so vague, but whenever you give some added value, some computer-generated content, but just have a closer look at what it is when you see some augmented reality proof of concept or videos or glasses that say they are AR glasses, for example. I mean, Google did the same mistake in a way, right? They said, hey, I have a nice 2 temples and a head-up display, and I can make fancy videos and record something in high definition with my augmented reality glasses. I can display some navigation information on a head-up display. I don't even care what's happening in reality. I just have a head-up display here, and I don't want somebody to worry about the warm temples, but instead I introduce some nice voice commands and some gestures around my temples, which look weird in a way. But hey, you want to be part of AR? Just give it a try, develop something. And we had quite some customers, and we even had Google AR glasses support of our SDK, which was then in the end nothing else but an Android SDK, which is deployed on Google Glasses, where you see the real live feed in Ultra HD of your real scenery, plus a duplication of the real world, namely the camera stream, which we then analyze to recognize, I don't know, magazine pages or whatever. And why did we do this? Because simply there is no field of view, there is no immersive experience, right? It's just a head-up display. So we, in a way, did just what we could best get out of it, just show the camera and analyze the camera stream. Even back in 2010 and 2011, we were working on an AR navigation system, which we called Wikitude Drive, which was nothing else but taking routing information of a provider, let's put it that way, of Navtech, and we then created an OpenGL scenery so that you then saw how the hell, where's the spaghetti so that I can arrive at place B. And we then displayed this in our virtual OpenGL scenery and properly mapped this to reality. But again, without any computer vision in place. So it was basically a transparent, in this case not web view, but you saw the camera stream, and on top of it, an OpenGL scenery. And we did the best to then apply some basic map matching algorithms. But still, we didn't even touch the camera feed. But played around with it and thought, hey, that's not our core business, right, navigation, but it at least works, and there are several approaches already ongoing here. Also, AR, when taking it serious, so the picture on bottom right might be familiar to you. It's Magic Leap. So those, in a way, at least that's what they state, want to find a solution for the real problem. So the real problem is, in a way, that your brain doesn't really believe what's going on in this AR scene, right? So just imagine that you want to augment a magazine page. You have the magazine in front of you, and you have those glasses, and you want to place a video, or even play a video full screen, or not even full screen, full magazine page-wise on top. So you then have your glasses here, right? And your brain says, hey, so you're now displaying a video in a weird angle, and me as the human brain, thinks it's in around, 50 centimeters in distance, there is a video floating here, which behaves the same way as the target image that is somewhere over there. So I either focus on the target or on the augmentations or on the display. And this is the real struggle in AR, besides all the algorithms that you need to run properly. But that's a big business, and they already got millions and billions of funding, but nobody really knows what they're doing, right? So in the following, I just briefly like to run through the flavors of AR, just that you get an idea of this is Pokemon Go, this is so old school, this is without computer vision at all, it's really the poor AR, the quick and dirty, where are the cinemas around? I don't care whether there's a wall in front of me, the next cinema is here, so let's place a POI and make it clickable so that you can get more information about POIs in your vicinity. So that's really no rocket science. That's like salt. You can buy it or you almost get it for free. It's so old school, but you can, in a way, where it makes sense, it all depends on your use case, enrich it in a way, but also here notice that this is not the sexy part of AR, right? It's just IMU analysis, but no real heavy computer vision algorithms ongoing. The second flavor, like oil and vinegar, so it's already state of the art if you put it that way, also part of the Wikitude SDK since ages. You want to recognize 2D targets, 2D planar targets, so not bendable surfaces, not curved surfaces. You just assume that the magazine page, although users do whatever they want with it, it's flat, it's perfectly flat. And this kind of AR or SDK feature then allows you to place 3D objects on top of it, but always assuming, at least in our scenario, that it's a flat surface that you want to augment. And as a second big challenge, we don't really care about the surrounding. We don't care about lighting. We have a basic rendering engine in place, or you do your own business with, Unity extension development. But in general, we just brute force to find out where the hell is your magazine page at the first step, to then track it in a proper and smooth way. To then augment it or play a video, 3D model, labels, real-time sensor values, whatever, on top of it. But we simply don't really care about the photorealistic rendering aspect. And the third most complex flavor, it's never-ending flavors, if you want to put it that way, is SLAM, or simultaneous localization and mapping. So you turn on the AR experience, the camera, the algorithms, the sensors, all of them play together. Your app or your application understands the surrounding. It knows, okay, there are moving things in the scenery. There are objects over there. This is most likely a window. This is a spot. This is where the light comes from. So it's really analyzing the scene to then get the most out of it. And this is almost, just the sky's the limit in terms of how much effort you want to put into algorithms, display technology. So this is the real rocket science. And this is way more complex than the safe harbor of VR, where you have full control over your immersive experience. But you, as the VR guy, always know where the light comes from. You always know where to make things blurry or where to make things super sharp. You always know where the user is facing, and you don't even need to worry about occlusion models or stuff like that, because you don't even show the limbs or whatever body parts. You have full control over the full scenery, and this is not in place in AR. So just a random sample, when you search in Google image search for augmented reality, it's quite common that you see something like that. So you assume, I mean, in this case, most likely HoloLens, whatever, you assume, oh, some gestures, or what is she doing? But more interestingly is that you, as the end user or who's watching those marketing slides, assumes, so, wow, I really think that there's this weird creature sitting on top of the table. It looks realistic in a way, although it's transparent, but still. I buy it. I really love it. I can also interact with it for whatever, however this would work. Do I click then on his face to make him speak? I don't know. But still, it looks realistic. But it's so much more complex under the hood. I mean, just to structure it in a better way. So what is it then? Whenever you think of adding AR to your application, what are the challenges or what are the things that you first need to consider? Is it worth it? I mean, we have plenty of customers, or even our partners have plenty of customers who more or less just go the way, hey, AR is so sexy. How's your SDK working? Do you have a sample app for my specific use case? I want this being part of my application. But that's the wrong approach. So you shouldn't use AR for the sake of using it. You should first think of, what is it? Is it in industry? Do I need to get a benefit for my employees? Do I make my employees more efficient? Or what is it for? And isn't it sufficient to just display, I don't know, a web VR instead of those complex AR topics? And is it important for me to be hands-free? What kinds of interactions are possible or necessary? Do I need voice commands because it must be hands-free? Or just make a list or ensure to know and understand, is it really worth it? And the second thing that we also noticed was, so especially that's in industry, you want to display real-time sensor values on top of your machineries to then understand what's going on and what are the switches that I need to turn on and off in a certain scenario. So, but in order to display all those real-time sensor values, you need to offer APIs, right? I mean, it can't be bundled offline. It can't perform super accurate if you don't offer the APIs that are required. So also here, think, and especially for those in the big industries or big companies, we see that quite often, that they say, hey, we want this, and then see, oh, so we need to do something in our IT department in order to offer such a thing in an intranet or even in the internet in a safe and protected environment, but still performing and offering the content that we need. Yeah, the next challenge is then the device. I mean, from my perspective, we're here at the very beginning when speaking of AR devices. So as I already mentioned previously, think of do you really need it? What is the benefit for it? But assuming that you really have you found your scenario, you found your benefit. Then think of, what is the hardware that I need? What is the complexity of the accuracy that I need? Is it sufficient to have, I don't know, Epson glasses, ODG glasses to display labels? I don't really care about photorealistic rendering and where the hell the light is. I don't care, as long as it recognizes it, I'm happy. I can even just recognize it and display then the system state somewhere else. So this is sufficient for me. Or on the other side, is it for marketing purpose? Is it for the facing towards the end user? So in that case, think out of the box. Think, do you really want this now, or do you want to wait for some time? Because just as an example, I mean, it's part of related to the next one. Assuming that you already have this perfect display technology, assuming that your environment already tells you where the light is, gives you all the information that you as the developer needs, you also need to have the right algorithms in place. So occlusion detection, for example. So assuming that you want to have a creature that runs around the audience. So how complex is this to make the human brain believe that it's really, I don't know, an elephant running around here? Wow, because all of those occlusion detections, all of them need to happen in real time. You want a proper rendering, all the lighting, all the physics, etc. All of these need to look really realistic so that you can convince or that you get the maximum out of it. But just to state that be aware that AR is really the rocket science, that, at least in my perspective. There are several SDKs out there also, several hardware, eyewear out there around AR, VR and also mixed reality. But what is it that Wikitude offers you? So especially for PhoneGap, we offer you a plugin that allows you to augment 2D targets soon, very soon, to be released in the upcoming weeks. Also a way so that you can augment objects. And not only on Android or on iOS native, we are also maintaining our PhoneGap plugin. So it's really part of our whole deployment process. We say, hey, so we want object recognition. Then back in the days, a question was in the community, in our forums. So when is this feature then available for our Unity extension or for our PhoneGap plugin? And we had to say, yeah, we first focus on the native APIs, and in the end, when there is time, after the release pressure, we will add a PhoneGap plugin. But already, more than a year ago, we decided, nope, that's not how it should look like. Whenever we release something, especially major updates, and throughout the whole deployment process, PhoneGap is part of the deal. So whenever we release something new, whenever we announce it, this by design means you get the full power from day one onwards. You don't have to wait, I need this object recognition feature for my summer project. So how to deal with it, it's really part of our whole testing. But also here, it's part of open source. We have it all in Git. Feel free to comment, extend, give us your feedback. It's not that we are maintaining it and it's only us maintaining it. We already had several pull requests, some valid pull requests against our plugin implementation. So fine. So whenever we release something, it's always also available to you. But what the hell is this Wikitude SDK all about? So is it complex? Is it, what language do I speak in the Wikitude SDK? So in a way, you can decide. So you can go the low level and say, yeah, I want to recognize the target image, a 2D target image, and just give me a callback on the native Android and iOS level whenever you see the target in the scenery, and I will then do my magic. Or you go on the very top level and say, hey, I want to define all my experience, my whole experience in JavaScript. So that's where there is we were basically talking on the same level between our JavaScript API and the PhoneGap plugin. So we're also offering a JavaScript API so that you can, inside your JavaScript code, it's a bit tricky. We have our own web view inside our own augmented reality view. So comparing this with PhoneGap, they also have their own web view and environment and context, but we do have our own. We live in our own silo to then manage the camera stream, the rendering, and also use the JavaScript engine for the various commands that start with AR dot. So we reserve the AR namespace for our own purpose, so that a developer can, inside our web view or inside our SDK, then define, hey, I'm interested in tracking this target. So it's just a single line in saying magazine page, and then you refer to a WTC file, which is let's say a zip file containing all the information that it needs to recognize the target image. And in the second line, you then say, hey, let's start the image tracker. And then in the third line, you could then define, hey, you know what? I want the video drawable, and refer to an MP4 file, and place it at position XYZ on top of this tracker. That's it. So within those 3 or 4 lines, you define the experience it needs to augment the cover of a magazine with some input JPEG file, basically, which is then converted to this WTC file with a video drawable in standard MP4. So just 4 lines of code, and that's it. No, you don't need to worry about, What about occlusion? What about making it look more realistic? What about all the latest implementation that Wikitude offers? I don't know, rendering engine updates or what have you. Don't worry about it. And yeah, this is the last slide. There are several people out there who are already using our technology. We're not restricted to Android and iOS, but we also have support for physics apps and ODG and whatever glasses are upcoming. And yeah, you're not restricted to 2D or GeoAR. We will also offer very soon this object recognition feature. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to approach me directly. But yeah, that's it so far.
Yeah, do you want to take any questions now?
Sure, I mean, I have plenty of time.
Anyone have any questions? All right, we got one over there. PPK is coming up.
Yeah, I'm interested why you chose to expose a PhoneGap SDK. So was this something that your developer community were asking for? Or is this something you just wanted to cast a wide net over lots of SDKs? Because like no one in this, or very few people in this audience had written an AR application, and if I was tasked with writing one, I would just presume I had to do it natively. I wouldn't instinctively think, oh yes, I can use PhoneGap for that. So.
Yeah, to be honest, it was just, I think, 5 years ago, I guess, when I thought, hey, how is this PhoneGap working? Oh, there are plugins that one could write, so why not give it a try? And I tried to create a plugin. So it was, besides us in support, in forums, seeing developers, back then, quite a few, requesting this feature, I just thought, hey, why not giving it a try? And then we saw, hey, meanwhile, it's really the most important plugin and nothing, or really the major plugin compared to Titanium, Xamarin, and others. PhoneGap is really the driving force currently. But back then, it was just because it was that easy, and why not giving it a try?
So have you seen like a high adoption of PhoneGap over some of the native SDKs? Okay.
Yes,
Great.
Definitely. So it's really the most prominent.
Anything else? All right. Well, thank you.
Welcome.
So it's almost break time, but I figured I'd take this opportunity